She has a bachelor's degree in industrial design and project engineering from Ilasava in her native Spain, and a master's degree in innovation design strategies from Columbus College of Art and Design. Corey is a senior project manager at Seattle Children's and is currently supporting the implementation of projects aimed at optimizing the organization's safety culture. As a 15-year project manager practitioner, Corey has managed simple to complex projects spanning both hospital and research divisions. Corey holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science from the University of Washington and is a certified project management professional and is currently studying for the Certified Professional in Healthcare Quality exam. So go ahead and take it away, Andrea and Corey.
Great. Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Corey Cooper. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a white woman with long brown hair and brown eyes, and today I'm wearing a black blouse with a red blazer. I'm a senior project manager at Seattle Children's in our Improvement and Innovation department. And along with my colleague, Andrea, we're very excited to be here today to showcase how we're using participatory design to optimize safety reporting at Seattle Children's.
Thank you, Corey. Jeannie, I'm not able to share my screen now because you're still sharing yours. I think you have to pause it. It's totally fine.
My apologies. Thank you.
No problem. Hopefully you all can see it now.
Yes, Andrea.
Wonderful. Okay, but I cannot see it. So I'm going to stop sharing once again. I'm so sorry for that. And I'll share again. Technology, that happens, right? Okay. What about now? Can you see my slides? Perfect. So thank you, Corey, and thank you to the Washington State Government Lean Transformation Conference for inviting us and putting together such an amazing agenda of topics and professionals. I'm sure you are enjoying it so far. Thank you also to our interpreters, and thank you all for attending and to this talk. Hopefully it's very interesting and you enjoy it so far. My name is Andrea. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a strategic designer at Seattle Children's Innovation Team and human-centered design lead for this project. I am a white 32 years old woman, brown long hair, hazel eyes, and today I'm wearing an ivory oversized shirt with a sleeveless black blazer and a pair of big ivory squared earrings. Before we get started, I want to pause for a second to acknowledge that we are on the traditional land, on the traditional unceded land of the Coast Salish people, including the Duwamish people, past and present. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish tribe. This acknowledgement does not take the place of authentic relationship with Indigenous communities, but serve as one way to honor the land we are on. We acknowledge that this country would not exist or prosper if it weren't for the free enslaved labor of Black people. We honor the legacy of the African diaspora and Black life knowledge and skills stolen due to violence and systemic oppression. So now that we can reflect on that, we're going to move to how are you? How are you feeling today? So please, if you use this, if you scan this QR code, also Corey is going to be sharing the link in the chat so you can access to it as well. And you'll see that a list of different pictors pop up in your screen. This helps us to better understand the temper of our audience so we can adapt and shape our speech so you all embrace the content in it. So as you see, we have 8 different images here to represent how you feel today or right now. The first one, I'm going to explain a little each of them while you can vote. So the first one is a boy looking at a map. It looks like he's exploring, trying to go somewhere, maybe trying to find the right path, the right way to go to their goal. Then we have a hungry little girl. She's eating a huge sandwich. Hopefully she's enjoying it. Then we have a surprise kid reading a book. You can tell that he read something really interesting so far. I don't know what it is, but then a boy listening to some music surrounded by nature, feels very relaxed and calm to me. Then we have a kid jumping in a puddle. I think he's having some fun and some dirt in it. Not sure how their parents will feel about it, but it sounds like fun. Then a girl covering her eyes. She looks like scared or at least avoiding to see something. Then G, we have an adventurous little boy walking on a trunk. So I'm sure it's difficult for him to be balanced. So that looks pretty challenging. Then we have another girl covered in pillows, not sure what he's trying to hide from. And a boy looking at his computer. He seems very focused, he's working hard. And then on the other side, we have a kid that his feet on with his feet on his desk and yawning. So it seems like he had enough for today. So let's see if any one of those images are resonating with you so far. Ooh, okay. I'm seeing the results right now. I'm going to share those with you. Wait a second, I'm going to give you a little more time. Wow, okay. Hopefully you see my results in your screen and how they are moving while you're voting, but I see a lot of focused people. This is how I'm reading this data so far. A few tired people. We are the only, we are the last conference of the day. I'm sure that maybe you're wrapping up the day with us. So we'll try to make this as enjoyable as possible for you all. And then we have another 10 votes here in the Explorer one. I feel like you're trying to make sense maybe of all this new knowledge that we're absorbing in the conference and trying to make sense of it and implement it in your daily jobs. That sounds really interesting. So great, so far a lot of engaged people. So let's keep moving to what we're going to be presenting today. And now that we know a little about you, you're going to know a little about us. So for the last few years, healthcare systems have been constantly challenged to face major critical and hardly predictable changes, right? This impacted are all organizations' nature, manifesting new complex problems in need of being addressed. The reality is that our organizations will be constantly exposed to new questions looking for answers. However, what we should do is to anticipate those questions, and that's our goal in the Continuous Improvement and Innovation team. So what we are is a diverse, cross-functional, mission-driven team of experts aiming to thrive and elevate the strengths of our organization and tackle some of the biggest challenges we face. We come from all different career backgrounds, united in our passions for improvement and for making an impact that changes our patients' lives and staff lives. So our team is equipped to support and serve the needs of each independent scenario, meeting the people who brought this problem or project where they are, and truly understanding what are they trying to solve, and most important, why they are willing to solve it. So we customize a team able to meet their expectations and the expectation of the future solution and the people who will be involved in it. That's why, for example, they're scoring myself a mix of different contributions, capabilities, and skills put together here in this project, trying to bring our skills and offer our best to our client.
Thank you, Andrea. So with that, we'll get kicked off with this specific project that we're focusing on today and showcasing. So recently, our improvement and innovation team was tapped to help lead a project to optimize how we report safety events, near misses, concerns, risks, et cetera, at Seattle Children's. As you can see here, this is our strategic plan, Clover, and quality and safety is now a strategic imperative embedded within our strategic plan, which has brought a renewed focus to optimize our incident reporting system with the goal to make it easier and easier to report safety events, as well as easier to manage safety events reported, to ultimately feed a learning system for how we can prevent or mitigate future preventable harm in healthcare. So for this project, as Andrea mentioned, we have collaboration of different experts on our improvement and innovation team. human-centered design experts, which Andrea brings to the table, project management expertise, which I'm the role on that. And then we're working closely with frontline users, collaborating to improve both the technical platform that we use to report safety events, as well as the business processes that are critical in safety event management. Next slide, please. So why are we doing this? So I referenced a little bit in the previous slide that we have an organizational commitment to quality and safety at Seattle Children's, and we have a renewed focus with it in our current strategic plan, but also it's in line with quality improvement. So in an ideal state, preventable harm does not occur in the process of healthcare. But in reality, as we all know, humans make errors. So how do we learn from mistakes and make systemic changes to prevent and mitigate future harm? In looking at quality improvement work and quality theory from our quality pioneer, Edwards Deming, 85% of problems detected are process or system related, whereas only 15% are traceable to human error or individual error. So what we're really trying to look at with this project is how we can redesign our incident reporting system so that it's easier to report safety events and risks, manage and learn from those reported to make systemic changes to prevent and mitigate preventable harm. Next slide, please. Oh, perfect. Thanks, Andrea. So with this project, we have 3 outcome measures that we're tracking to. The first one is increase the total number of patient safety events submitted by 25%. So we're moving from a baseline of 9,500 patient safety events reported to 11,875 in fiscal year 23. That's our target. And really this outcome measure is important to us for 2 reasons. One, if we're able to increase numbers, that's a sign that we are able to make the reporting and management of submissions easier for our end users, as well as looking at the literature. Increased reporting is actually tied to a stronger safety culture, which is tied to decrease in preventable harm. So the higher our numbers go in safety event reporting or safety concern reporting, we should see a lower incident of preventable harm in healthcare. The next 2 outcome measures that we're tracking have to do with psychological safety, and it's assessed in our biannual culture of safety survey. And the 2 are when a mistake is reported, it feels like the focus is on solving the problem, not writing up the person, and I can report patient safety mistakes without fear of punishment. And really, we're looking for a statistical significant difference based on our population size from fiscal year 20 baseline to fiscal year 23 target. We're also looking at some process measures along with this work. So we are or will be tracking measures related to the specific roles and their experience with safety event reporting. So inputter metrics, and when we refer to inputter, we're talking about frontline staff that are submitting safety events or risks or concerns. So we're looking at decreased time to report, calculated by reduction in number of clicks on the incident reporting form itself, number of required fields we're asking them to fill out. And then part of our work is to provide a direct link from our patient electronic health record right into our incident reporting form to kind of eliminate a couple of steps for end users to make really streamline reporting to make it easier for them to do the right thing in the moment. For our follow-upper metrics, and follow-upper are our file managers or those that are responding to safety events that are reported, increased number of submissions closed in our system, and then decreased time to closing. So we're looking at establishing turnaround time expectations for closing out a file, proposing at 21 days from report submission.
So to getting back to the problem, we don't have only to understand the specific objectives of the project, but also the context of the system that we are navigating. And for this specific system, we face a lot of difficulties and constraints that we want to share with you. As you may understand, this is a highly regulated system, right? Healthcare it is. And we have to make sure that with the changes that we're proposing, we are not breaking anything in the system or like changing something key that could impact negatively to other actions that have to take place. Also, there's a historical mind frame and infrastructure that we have to acknowledge that it's kind of like going to present some stoppage on adopting that change as well. There's a high barriers of entrance, right? And that's also, all of those are going to cause some movement and adversity. It's not a nimble or agile infrastructure. Also talking about the infrastructure, this is a big infrastructure. So we have to have in mind the different pieces that compose it and the different cultures actually that we have into the same organization. We still kind of like felt that we work in silos and we have very differentiated structures and units that behave very differently. So we have to embrace that and understand how we can approach a project depending on the different inside cultures that we have in the organization. And still in healthcare, we have hierarchical power and roles that we have to recognize. And that could be like something to have in mind in how we are managing our conversations and managing change and inviting people to the table. So even the project came to us with a very specific goal of basically redesigning the platform where our staff reports or manages the submission of safety events that occur in our installations. After a quick dive into the system, we wanted to kind of step back and challenge that first assumption and trying to grasp on what's the real problem that we are facing. So that's why we rephrase it, and we wanted to ask, how might we optimize our incident reporting system, acknowledging human capabilities and limitations in the design of a product and process to encourage reporting, to identify, learn from, and prevent or mitigate our system-related safety vulnerabilities. So amplifying our scope and considering that the problem was, yes, the platform story was, yes, a barrier, but in the end, only the enabler, right? It's a problem easier to identify since it's tangible. It's a tangible touch point, but we wanted to know if there were other pains, barriers, or needs hidden. And that's what we brought the design approach to the project. But what do we mean by design? What is design? What is this new focus that we're proposing? And I'm going to ask you once again. So please access to, maybe if you're already into the link, you already will find the next question. But if not, you can access to the QR code again, and you'll find that we are asking you to define design in 3 words. I'm going to give you a little time to it. Hopefully you can see it. Okay. Okay, I see some words in it.
Andrea, some participants are noting that they're still getting the first question of how they.
Oh, that's weird. I think that it's gonna pop up the question, do you want to go to the next slide or something like that? If you click yes, hopefully you'll go to the next one. Or if you can refresh your screen, I'm sure that it will show the next slide with the 3 blank spaces to fill with free text. I see a lot of words and different words. I love how diverse this is. Okay. This is still popping. This is so amazing. So actually, I'm going to share my screen so you see what I'm seeing. This is a word cloud. So basically, all the words that you are using are popping up into that screen. And the bigger the word is, the most times you suggested that word. I see a lot of, I love the words that you're putting here, like planning, structure, create, creativity, function, innovation, visual, easy, imagine, beauty, appearance, intention, look, collaboration, strategic, purpose, creativity, efficient. I'm gonna do it a little bigger for you all, but that's beautiful. Since I feel like it just paused, it's the moment to reflect on those results. And I love how we see, oh, it's moving again. Typically we see a lot of, beautiful, maybe functional, maybe, pretty, or even, creative. But I love that you already mentioned structure, create, plan, organization. Because basically, when we talk about design, we talk about, oops, sorry, I moved too fast. We talk about transforming or translating ideas into reality. And we used to deal with chaos, so we make sense of it and put together something to become a deliverable for our users, right? So I'm going to start explaining a few concepts that I'm sure you all heard about when we talk about design. So since design starts with empathy, I'm going to present you a concept that is called user-centered design. This concept emerged in the late 80s, and it's focused on this approach is focused on the main customer, and it keeps the purpose that in order to design better solutions, it is necessary to keep in mind through the whole process, the main user, basically, who is going to use that product, have them in mind and build our solution based on them. It encourages to empathize with the main customer and understand their needs and barriers and propose a solution that it's really going to satisfy them. But what if we go one step further? We will find human-centered design. This is a concept created late 90s and addresses impact on several stakeholders and not just those typically considered as users. So it considers the different users involved in the problem. And it considers also their roles, their needs, their barriers. So we can design something that it helps, or it makes it easier for all of our different audiences. Okay, but what if we go one step further? We can find system or service design. And the focus of this is on the different relationships and reaction, not only the different stakeholders that we find, but how do they interact to each other. It's about designing beyond, or not only for isolated artifacts or products. It's about considering the lives and behaviors and emotions of people creating solutions for systems and its relationships. So how the different stakeholders will relate to each other and what actions will impact the other ones, right? This interconnectivity. But now, okay, we know what it's kind of like design, human-centered design, user-centered design, but what is a service, right? To a user, a service is something simple. It's something that helps them to do something, but like to learn to drive, get a license plate, or maybe buy an Orca card, but it's an activity that needs to be done. And it's not always how governments or not-profit entities or organizations in general see a service. For us, services are that discrete transactions that need to be completed in a particular way. And an easy example that I'm going to present to you is, for example, let's talk about a fridge. And that's why I have here goods dominant logic and service dominant logic. So in goods dominant logic, value creation comes from identifying features that the customer wants. So for example, what do our customers want in a fridge? So I want it to be this color or shinier, or I want it to last for longer. We want to have this certain characteristics, and then selling them to customers via retailers. And under this logic, service or customer service is what happened after purchase. However, in service dominant logic, we think about people wanting to access to cooling, but that does not necessarily mean that we want to own a fridge, right? So we want, when we build services based on genuine insight to the people who will use them, we can be confident that we will deliver real value. So services focus on mainly, as you see here in the slide, care, response, and access. But that just feel just omnipresent, which leads to being concept, just take it for granted, right? But it's actually both, the providers and our users. So as a consequence, they become almost invisible elements of life, and it becomes that causes that many services are almost invisible and nobody's taking care of them. So what we're proposing is to change that. And this is the service design mindset. We combine systems thinking, which helps shift our mode of thinking or perspective to see the bigger picture and connect the different complex environments that our business operates in, and in a more holistic way. Then we have future thinking, that it's helping business to prove a range of plausible futures. And then we have design thinking, that basically is the creative process that designers we use to solve complex problems. And a service is basically, as we mentioned, an interaction between a user or multiple users and the service provider. So along with the various points of contact, we call it touch point, that take place over time and generates value. Long story short, service design is the orchestration of the different people, environment, devices, technology, and tools needed to deliver a service. And this would be the process. Even here is explained very linear. We work in an iterative way. And each phases, we have 4 phases, start with divergence and finish with convergence. So first of all, we have exploration, and it means like gaining a clear understanding of the situation, gaining perspective of current or potential customers at the company's point of view. So understanding the mission value, what connects them, and then understanding like these little pieces together, we go to creation. That is the generative stage within the iterative process. This approach is not about avoiding mistakes actually, but rather about exploring as many as possible to really understand what is not working and improve from that. And then we have reflection, and actually this stage and creation are the ones between which most iterations take place. This is the moment that we have to test and prove the concept created. The main challenge here, for example, in services specifically, is to deal with the intangibility of services. You cannot simply put it on a table and ask people to react. So it's important to consider the emotional aspects of a service. And last but not least, we have implementation, which is when we make things real. And for these, we have to embrace change management and adoption of the solutions that we are proposing by mostly different interventions that are going to take place into our new service. So service design consists basically in 5 principles. We have human-centered. People are the core of the service design, then co-creative. So service design should involve other people, especially those who are part of the system or service. It has to be sequencing. So services should be visualized by sequences or key moments in a customer journey. For example, that's a tool that we use. Then evidencing, customers need to be aware of the elements of a service. Evidencing creates basically loyalty and helps customers understand the entire service experience. And last but not least, holistic. So a holistic design takes into account the entire experience of a service. So the interrelated actions focus on the whole rather than on the individual parts of a service. Oops, sorry, I missed one slide, but so service design is human-centered, is about designing with people, not for people, considering the lives, behaviors, and emotions of people. So the value is constructed through human interactions and co-creations, and that's why we brought participatory design. So we can actively involve and engage representations of all these stakeholders in the design process to ensure that services and products meet the needs or hopefully exceed the expectations of the people that they serve. And why participatory design? Once again, so individual knowledge and creativity are not enough to find novel solutions to the complex problems we have to face nowadays. So participatory design aims to explore potential directions and gathers a wide range of perspectives in the process. How we do that? So we bring different voices from the system to the table. So co-creation involves a representation of all the relevant stakeholders and diversity of perspective to ensure we can capture the multiple points of view that we have into the same system. We want to trigger our collective creativity, right? The creativity from our users. So it is about facilitating a space to provoke and enhance our participants to feel free to create. Through design thinking tools and techniques, people are empowered to work together to unfold their expectations and explore new scenarios and generate new opportunities on their knowledge, based on their knowledge and experience. And then we also have change ownership. So thanks to this process, we empower the users from the very beginning on making them part and drivers of the change that enhance the adoption and sustainability of the solutions, since the advocation basically for this comes from the very inside, right? They are part of the team. They are the creators of the idea. So they are gonna be fighting for this to become real and to be approachable and adopted by the rest of their colleagues. So our framework, how do we propose this project? How we put it in place, how we make it real? We, as you see in here, we have the exploratory phase and we have little gap and we have then the creation phase. This is an ongoing project, so I'm basically going to share those two phases with you. So far, we had involved more than 46 voices and 18 clinical different units. So what we did at the very beginning is interviewing frontliners. So that means that we spend a 1 hour long on a remote conversation with the user to better understand their needs, pains, and hopes, and for building for a better system or platform. During this conversation, we navigated past and current experiences submitting safety events and virtually shadow how users interact with our platform. Then we also have shadowing or observations. Those were in person and those lasted from 2 to 4 hour long sessions to observe the actual context and the impact of the environment on the product or the experience for our users. These engagements help us develop a truly holistic view of how the service is operating, and it provides an intimate understanding on the real-time interaction that takes place between the various group of touch points involved. Then we'll have the co-creation sessions, or we have the gap before, right? And then we have the co-creation sessions. Those sessions were divided in 3 sessions, consecutive sessions, almost half-day workshops over the course of 2 weeks to collectively rethink how we may improve and optimize safety reporting systems at St. Children's. So that gap that I was meaning earlier, it was a space for us to reflect and make sense of all the data collected during the design research phase. So we call it synthesis and analysis. And how we do that is for each of the people that we interviewed, we collected their data, their quotes, their relevant information that they share with us in different colored Post-it notes. So that helped us identify who said what. But from that, we wanted to group by themes and findings. One of the techniques that we use to make sense of all the data collected is this affinity map or affinity diagram. It's basically consists in looking for patterns on those notes and observation that we gather through research. So understanding how they are related and group them help us to start discerning and have a clear sense of what's happening in our system. So connecting the different relevant statements we group as findings, it gives us a little more sense in our understanding on how our users are, what our users are doing, thinking, feeling, or hearing. However, it's not about the findings. it's also about the barriers that our users have. So far, we collected or we identified 16 different barriers. Some of it were related to our users not really seeing the impact of their contributions, or the tool, or the need of another tool or human resources, or no time or mental capacity to submit or manager or manage. And also, we identify needs, over 40 needs that we identified. So one of the things that we identify is that our users maybe don't see themselves as drivers of the change, or they would like to collaborate and delegate and bring experience and knowledge through that tool and see results in action, or feeling value for their time, or maybe just basically time to debrief, or honest human dialogue, talk to a real person, and that couldn't happen through a digital platform. And after those, we also identified 8 insights. The insights are basically the results of our design research. And insight is the collection of different findings that are interconnected that can help us explain why the user is behaving as they do. So the insight gatherers will be shared and validated with our participants as a tool to help them basically inspire, inform ideas, and bring confidence in translating them into tangible concepts to build potential solutions. Those are 4 of the ones that we uncovered, and Corey is gonna go through those ones with you.
Sure, thanks, Andrea. So as Andrea said, we had 8 insights that were uncovered as part of the design research, and we're going to share 4 of them with you. As you would imagine, actually, a lot of them proved to have value in opportunity for change within our business processes, not just the platform itself. So this one is speaking to the a business process opportunity. So the level of training depends on who it comes from. So for example, in our input role, so the frontline staff who is reporting a concern, training is varied from their supervisor, colleague, or even self-training. It's usually done in the moment when they have something to report. So it's a varied experience depending on who you ask in the organization. It is mentioned at our day 1 orientation, but often frontline teams forget as they go off and start to get oriented to their role and to the organization. For the follow-upper role, we do have more formal training for those that are managing these files, but it happens at varied points in their journey as a file manager, and it wasn't always consistent. So this is an insight that we're definitely working on to have more formal training, but also how do we redesign the system so that the system is intuitive to use if you're using it for the first time to report a safety event or concern, as well as follow up on a safety event or concern. So our second one dives into highlights both platform and process opportunities. So our safety reporting platform by itself is not enough. So currently teams require complementary tools such as Excel, ServiceNow, which is an internal ticketing IT system, RedCap, Tableau, etc., to help manage safety events or concerns that are reported. As well as it requires a lot of outside of our incident reporting system communication between multidisciplinary teams to really get at root causes and resolve issues that are reported. So the tool itself is not enough. So our safety reporting platform by itself is not enough, which was definitely a big highlight as we went through this work. The third one, reporting feels like a monologue when it should be a dialogue. So in current state, staff report an event and it's a one-way communication. Often they don't know what happened to their safety event concern that is reported. And we really want to close that loop as part of our redesign work. So we want to have bi-directional communication between the inputter and the follow-upper to one, to acknowledge that their voice was heard, to help in a shared learning model of what we're doing with the feedback that's submitted from the front lines, has really just build that trust and psychological safety as part of our safety culture. So we're trying to really the closed loop communication you'll see in a couple of slides as a guiding principle of ours in this work. And then the last one, our safety reporting platform doesn't address urgency. This is true, and our incident reporting system is not meant to address urgent clinical escalations. We actually have an escalation framework that is meant to support urgent clinical escalations in the moment. And then as part of our work with the incident reporting systems, we are asking users to document those escalations once stabilized in this reporting system to feed a learning system rather than quickly escalate and resolve urgent clinical needs and concerns. Really, the intent of this work is how do we feed a learning system so that we can identify our vulnerabilities and address root causes to prevent preventable harm in healthcare. And so we really are balancing another project outside of this one, but that's closely related, escalation pathways for escalating urgent clinical concerns, as well as documenting those for future learning. Oh, sorry, Andrea, I thought you were up next. So our guiding principles, the three main ones: improve the user experience on submitting and managing safety events concerns within our incident reporting system. And you can see the tactics listed underneath here. The 7 different tactics that we're really honing in on: pour down, embed, closed loop communication, which I talked to on previous slides. About half are opportunities for technical platform changes, where others are business process changes. So provide effective training, define clear roles and standard work for file managers. Those are looking at opportunities that we have to really shore up some gaps that we have on our business processes side with safety incident reporting. And then really leveraging the data that's in the system to identify trends, learn from safety events, near misses, and inform improvement work. And really, how do we, again, redesign the system or redesign the platform to help redesign the system and vice versa.
Wonderful. Thank you, Corey. So now that we had all that data put together and all those insights, it was a moment to share those with our participants. And to do that, we did it through co-creation. So co-creation is basically the facilitation of spaces where different representations of the service or system gather to promote their creativity by using design tools, as we mentioned earlier. The objectives, though, of co-creation are to provide a common language, understand and the relevant needs of the different stakeholders, align the design opportunities with organization strategy objectives, find new products or services and processes, business opportunities, translate those needs into actionable solutions, optimize resources, and lead to innovation in design. So how we structure that, and I mentioned that earlier, we did it through 3 sessions with our participants. And as you can see in here, we had a 4th session that it was a discussion with our leaders about the results that we have through the co-creation sessions. So I'm going to go through those. The first one, it was a 2.5-hour long session. The goal of it was to set the tone for co-creation and build trust between our participants, since they were coming from very different units or departments in the organization. Share the design research results, understand and empathize with different user experiences, and align on current needs and future state expectations. So from that, we'll learn more about the co-creation process, so our participants know the goals and the dynamics of it. We share past and present experiences about how we submit and manage safety events at Seattle Children's, and share expectations about what the new system should become. We discussed, dissected, and reviewed and validated design research results. So basically our insights and also the user journey map, and define the most critical moments using that journey map that we have in our users' experience. Oops, sorry. So the second session was the longer one. And in this one, we were working specifically about how we want to optimize our platform. So we envision the ideal digital platform experience. We comprehend platform capabilities and limitations. We generate artifacts that illustrate or can simulate the new solutions for our safety reporting event system, and we identify remaining platform pain points and barriers. We explore ideal, and as a fact from that, we explore ideal future platform experiences. We understand possible ways to modify the current safety event submission platform, which is a market solution. We explore also ways to optimize that, and we design preferred workshop flow in a journey from each role platform through artifacts to better support the specific user needs. Then the last session was about thinking about the system organization ideation. That was a 3 hours long session. And we started recapping the past sessions since we basically have all the time the same participants, but it's been a week from the first session to the third session. So we wanted to share updates from the vendor and revisit the project goals, report out platform optimization for follow-uppers, define value-added changes, new initiatives and solutions, so we can make to support our project goals, and identify and define people involved in each stage of the process. So as a result, we ensure focus, understanding and alignment on the purpose of the co-creation sessions and the project expectations as it is. We ideated potential future states for Seattle children's safety events and missions and management system, and we defined value-added changes. So new initiatives and solutions that we can make to support project goals that will be involved in those solutions, or who will be involved in those solutions, and what we should expect from them. Then, with all those results, we shared them with our leadership and core team to refine these ideas from co-creation. We provide awareness of participants' desires and ensure the success of the final solution. And we also wanted to align on the feasibility and action items. The accomplishments for this is to get a new system goals and expectations defined, a priority plan, and a guidance to redefine platform load prototypes, and of course, approve key concepts and implementations to build the new user journey and new service blueprint. I'm gonna start a video for you that it shows how the co-creations went. Hopefully you can hear it.
The goal of participatory design or co-creation is to actively involve and engage a representation of all the stakeholders in the design process to ensure that the services and products that we're going to create in the future meet or hopefully exceed the needs and expectations of the people that they serve. So fundamentally, design is the process of translating ideas into reality, right? Individual knowledge and creativity are not enough right now to find novel solutions to complex problems. So that's why participatory design or co-design is an approach that basically sees the value of involving and relying on user voices collectively to enhance creativity and take decisions.
In the context of the work we're doing, our e-feedback systems, which is an electronic repository of typically patient or staff safety-related events or risks. We wanted to listen to the people that entered into the system. We wanted to hear from the leaders that had to address the concerns that were communicated in order to build both a better structure as well as better processes around the use of e-feedback.
When we started doing that design research, interviewing, having different conversations, but also shadowing and observing in place, we realized that the actual barriers to encourage the usage of the platform were not related to the platform itself. It wouldn't be more behavioral related, cultural related. Those were the actual barriers that kind of stop our users to really embrace the platform. So what we are proposing is a systematic, holistic approach, and that's why we bring different participants from different areas to speak about their different experiences about the same problem. So the co-creation sessions aim to explore potential directions and gather basically a wide range of perspectives in the process. Now with all these results, we're going to be sharing some recommendations with our leadership team. And of course, they are also stakeholders and part of the final system as well. So we want to refine the final solution with them. This is only just the beginning of the whole process. We want to keep them involved. So they're going to be part of all the decisions that we're going to be taking. They're going to be part of the testing of the new system and solutions that we propose.
obviously want to thank the folks that participated. They invested a lot of time and energy and clear passion to the work. I am always amazed how talented our Seattle Children's folks really are. So special thanks to them for being committed to getting better continuously.
Great. So I'm sure that after our presentation, all this now sounds really familiar. So some of the co-creation results that we want to share with you are, for example, our participants wanted to link our electronic health records to our incident reporting system to support one-piece flow when a safety event concern is identified. So using our patient chart as a way of entrance to reporting safety events. The other interesting thing, for example, was restructuring our submission form into an SBAR format. For those who doesn't know what does an SBAR mean, what SBAR means is situation, background, assessment, and recommendation. So this is a tool that we commonly use at Seattle Children's. So how we can embrace that tool and put it into our reporting system. That's funny because that was actually an idea from one of our participants who really wanted to have an SBAR format, an SBAR as a free text in one of the questions that we have to report a safety event. And from that idea, we brought it to why don't we think as a whole form to become, a form, an SBAR format. Also redefining the required optional fields, identifying initiatives to recognize and appreciate staff for reporting, defining time and accountability standards, switching the connotations of what reporting means, understanding that why, and also consider it as a positive learning system for reporting. However, we also want to be honest on what we can do better and the gaps and barriers that we personally as a team faced. So recruiting in healthcare and including diverse representative has been a challenge. It's still not a priority in the organization. So we wanted to, hopefully in the future, we can rethink that. Also, the tech product limitation, since we are working with a market solution, design is still not at the core of the organization. So there's been there has to be a very big component in education and understanding or help the organization understand what's the value in design. And of course, change readiness.
And Andrea, I actually will just be really quick because we only have 2 minutes left. And
I'm so sorry for that. I see that.
Chat box. It's okay. I'll only say we're actually midstream of our project right now. This project isn't slated to be complete until June of 2023. So we have a phased implementation. We're in phase 1 right now, hoping to roll out by end of year, early January, with phase 2 more robust, more of those business process changes, because those take more of the change management aspects, rolling out in phase 2 from January 1st through June. But some project learnings to date, I think one area that we definitely are taking in is that we had a predefined timeline, knowing we wanted, before we knew we wanted participatory design, and we we're still trying to meet that timeline as we were in these co-creation sessions. So really, anytime we have any unknowns, or if you're going into a participatory exploratory phase, we really need to have a check gate for the project schedule to recalibrate the timeline, because you don't really know what's going to come out of that co-creation session. So from a project perspective, that was one of our lessons learned. I think I'll leave it at that if you want to go to the next slide. And this just explains where we're going next. So as I said, we're in midstream. So right now we're building out the technical changes for phase 1 in our test environment, working on validating the business process changes with our leadership team, which will roll out in phase 2. We are expanding our human-centered service design approaches, how we can refine those with coupled with project management for future projects in the organization. I don't know, Andrea, if you want to say anything else. I know we're at time, and
I think it's better to go to questions. I think it would be wonderful to hear and to solve some of the questions our audience can have.
Jeannie, do we have time for questions, or is it kind of a hard
If we
stop?
do have, no, okay. So Jeannie, yeah, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. No, we don't have time. We do need to wrap this up, but we can't. I believe we can get you the questions that are in the chat so that you could respond to the folks in the chat. after the session.
Wonderful. And just to say that we are open to receive any comments, questions through our personal contacts that are also posted in your website. So feel free to do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea and Corey, for a wonderful session. It was great to hear a real life experience of how you went through this. And I know this information is so valuable